Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, Todd, great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
Could you give us a little bit of an update to start on how you are doing with your knee and how everything looks there? Thank you.
Yeah, Todd. It's been a nice off season for me in the sense of it's one of my first in the last couple of years where I haven't really felt like a rehabber. I really just have been on a normal off season, strength program. There's definitely still some things that I've had to accomplish over the off season just to progress with the rehab. But February 1st will be coming up right at about 10 and a half months, 11 months. So that by the time I get to Arizona for spring, I should be, I'm sure I'll be eased back in because it's been a year or so since I've been on the field, but I really should have little to no limitations once we get there and once games start, which is just exciting for me. So I'll be stoked to get on the field. I'm pretty bored as a competitor and not having played in so long. But just stoked to get down to Arizona and meet with the Brewers medical team and put a plan in place going forward.
And we'll go to Adam McCallie.
Hey, Rhys. Can you just tell us a little bit about your free agency? I think in these parts, a lot of people saw the list of free agents and thought you were kind of a perfect fit for what the Brewers need. Did you kind of feel that this club could be a possibility for you going in? And just given the unique circumstance of not playing this season, sort of what were your expectations about the process and how did it play out compared to those expectations?
Yeah, I think your last part is really kind of where it all started for me. I had heard so much about free agency and the privilege it is to get there, but it was, I think, just a bit different having not playing in that, so-called platform year, especially given the momentum that we were able to create in Philly. That was going to be an exciting year to be on a team ready to win, but also for me personally. So expectations, I think, just had to get brought down a little bit. Obviously trusting my representation to, put me in a good position to succeed. And like you said, I think Milwaukee was always a great paper fit, as I can stand back and kind of take a 10,000-foot view of baseball itself and where I may fit in that. But have talked to a bunch of guys either on the team or that have played there in the past. It just fit even more so with, the type of culture that they have and what I'm trying to accomplish as an athlete and as a competitor. So I'm glad we're able to kind of get the nitty gritty and all the details done, just because it seemed like such a great fit really from the get-go.
And we'll go to Sophia.
Hi, Rhys. Welcome to Milwaukee and to the Brewers. But you said that you felt just bored as a competitor. I'm sure you're really anxious to get going. But how are you feeling? Just emotionally, a fresh start, leaving Philly, getting back on the field, and what you like about the Brewers from what you've seen of them. And Matt, a question for you of what was most appealing about bringing Rhys onto the team.
I'll go, Matt, and then I'll let you kind of finish this off. But yeah, obviously, the Phillies are who drafted me. I've been in the organization for 10 years. I have a long list of great things to say and not a very, very short list of things that I would complain about my time in Philly. And the thing I learned is that nobody's really going to listen to those that you might complain about. So emotionally in a great spot, more just ready to make an impact on a team again. I'll have very fond memories of my time in Philly. I'll be excited to go back whenever that is. And yeah, I mean, they were upfront with me at the start of the off season, which I think was probably a good thing for me, just emotionally being able to kind of get a little closure after a weird year, and move on to whatever was next, which, ended up, I think, being a great fit here in Milwaukee.
Yeah, Sophia, to your question there, we couldn't be more thrilled to have Rhys here, and I think we talked about kind of over the course of the offseason, This was the kind of player that we were looking for, to insulate our lineup. This is a guy that has a long track record of being a really, really good hitter. As you guys know, he's had some huge hits in really big games. That's what we're looking for. We've been able to catch the ball, I think, and pitch for many years, and continue to add, bats like Rhys into the middle of our lineup is something that we're thrilled to have. So, again, when you layer in the fit as a profile, but then when you talk to people just around the industry and how many people say great things about Rhys, we just couldn't be more excited to have him here in Milwaukee.
We'll go Steve McGargy.
I was just wondering, congratulations first to Rhys, but I was just wondering, I know it's a really small sample size, but you've hit extremely well in Milwaukee. How do you think the stadium kind of fits your game, and how much you're kind of looking forward to hitting there on a regular basis?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've always enjoyed my time in Milwaukee from like a city standpoint. I think it is a little sleepy and has a lot more to offer than what people from the outside looking in give it credit for. But also, as a stadium, it's always been a great place to hit. I think another thing that I've thought about over the last couple of days is that I won't have to face the staff that I'm normally facing there, which has always been nasty in my career. I'm looking forward to that. I was talking to a few of the assistant GMs during my quick time in Milwaukee to get my physical done, and one thing I mentioned was just a great batter's eye that's, I think, underrated about the park. It's really wide, it's dark. I got a little glimpse of some of the new things going on in the stadium, but just from a batter's eye perspective, it's awesome. And it seems like a great division to hit in. And when you get to be input into a lineup with, a former MVP, exciting players all up and down the lineup, young and some guys that have done it a long time in their career, that's when hitting gets fun. That's when hitting gets contagious. So excited to really just be injected right into that and pick up where these guys have left off.
We'll go Dom Catronio.
Hey, Rhys, congratulations once again. My question, though, is for Matt. I just, looking at it from maybe the national perspective to your club here in Milwaukee, at the start of the offseason, everyone's saying, oh, they got to trade this guy, they got to listen on that guy. And here you are, you've turned around and you've instead added to the team, you've extended Jackson Chourio. As you look back, as we're winding down on the offseason, I think maybe some folks are not quite familiar with what's been happening with Milwaukee as far as adding and continuing to expand this window, and how does adding Rhys to your roster make sure you keep that window wider?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Dom. Look, we're trying to win as many games as we can here this year, and in the long run, and so that's a tricky thing for us to balance. But I think, when we're able to add veterans here with the type of track record that Rhys has, that's really exciting, and candidly, I wasn't sure we were going to be able to access a player like him, and I couldn't be more excited to have this type of profile here, because he fits so well. It's just the type of player that we've needed. And we've had a lot of success here, and we're certainly proud of that. And just having somebody like Rhys, just as he mentioned earlier, just continuing to add to that, is something that we're really excited about.
We'll go to Kurt Hogue.
Yeah, Matt, kind of to follow up on Dom's question there. Early in the offseason, there was a lot of speculation, especially like nationally, that this club would take a step back in 2024, that it would look a lot different. And some of the pieces who are reaching the end of their time here would be traded away. That's clearly not the path you guys have taken. You've put a lot of resources into this team. Could you kind of elaborate a bit on the thinking and the plan to push some of the chips toward the middle this year instead of what I think a lot of people on the outside were expecting?
Yeah, I think, look, I think there are a lot of different paths that the offseason can take. We have to stay nimble. I think that's something that's important. When there are opportunities, we want to try to strike, and adding veteran players here that help us this year, extending somebody like Jackson Chourio that shows that we're committed to winning here long term. We're trying to do both, right? And so those are certainly tricky. But again, adding these types of players for us, certainly we want to try to be competitive this year as much as we possibly can.
And we'll go to Travis Kelce. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Lance Allen. Lance Allen?
No, Taylor Swift here. Thanks, Mike. Rhys, welcome to Milwaukee. Just a very quick question. You are a fan favorite or described as a fan favorite when you played in Philadelphia. What made you a fan favorite, and what do you feel like will make you a fan favorite here in Milwaukee? Because it seems like you could fit the bill.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I think really like the people of Philadelphia opened their arms wide open for me and my family when we first got there in 2017. And it just felt pretty easy to connect with that group of people in Philly. We found ways, different ways in the community, but also just like accessing fans in different ways, whether at the stadium before games or in spring training. So I think we had a lot of fun with that. Obviously we did a little bit more winning too, and that always helps when you're, when trying to become a fan favorite. So hopefully, us being able to make an impact within the city, some good play on the field, a couple home runs, and a lot of winning will help us do that.
We're going to go back to Adam McCalvey.
Rhys, when Scott was talking to you about what teams were offering, and I'm sure there was a whole range of different creative contracts teams threw at you, what was most important to you? Like, what was at the top of your list?
I wanted a chance to win, really. That's what I told him from the get-go. I've been talking to that multiple years leading up to this free agency year. And then I got a chance to really win in 2022 and got a taste of what the playoffs is like and what it's like to play on the biggest stage. And everything was really confirmed for me. So, I'm an athlete. I'm a sports fan at heart. I'm competitive as heck. And at the end of the day, I want to win more than anything. I got a chance to come up short in Philly, unfortunately, but just having a chance really was at the top of the list. 4 out of the last 5 division, winners here, a chance at the playoffs every single year with, a lot of good pitching. That's usually a pretty good recipe. So again, I think it was really where the organization was and where we saw it going. Having a chance to win was at the top of my list.
And we'll take a few more, starting with Steve McGargy.
Thanks again for doing this, Rhys. I was just wondering, you talked about the feedback you got from guys who've played here in the past or who play here now. I'm just wondering if there's anything that stuck out that really kind of convinced you to come here. And I didn't know if you knew, obviously there's a managerial change in place. I didn't know if you knew Pat Murphy at all or any background you might have with him.
I have got a chance to speak with Pat, since the signing. I don't know him personally, but have gotten many a great story already about him or from him. I know he's a baseball lifer, learned a lot under the last regime here, and really is just excited about continuing the success, that the Brewers have had in his tenure. So excited to be, to learn under that. Any guy that has that much baseball experience, I feel like you can always learn something from that.
And we have a couple of our friends here from Philadelphia. We'll go with Todd Zalecki.
Hey, Rhys.
Good to see you, Todd.
Yeah, thanks for the time over the years of being such a pro. Want to know, what do you think or what do you hope your legacy will be in Philly, not knowing what the future holds with many years to go, maybe in your career? What would you hope it is?
Yeah, I think it's going to start with, what we were able to do in terms of connecting with the city. Hopefully, left some sort of lasting impact within the community. A couple different organizations that we were able to, cultivate really, really strong relationships with, hopefully lasting relationships. And And then, you know, it's at the end of the day, we're playing a sport, and at the sport, it's all about winning. So some of those memories that we were able to make, you know, within the postseason run and trying to get there, ending a drought for any city in terms of a sports, you know, getting into the playoffs is something I think to hang your hat on and be proud of. But also, you know, be able to create more memories along that way is something I think, you know, that team, and hopefully myself included, will be remembered for.
And when Dave called you soon after the season was over, did he have a feeling either way?
I really didn't. Yeah, I really didn't. I've learned in this game, it's pretty easy to speculate on what can happen, but almost always you're pretty wrong. So tried not to go down that road and just kind of let whatever was going to happen. Like I said, super grateful for the transparency and him being upfront with me about which way they were going to go. I think it was, you know, like I said, I was able to set the offseason off on the right foot because of that.
Then one last one for me is they've already sold a bunch of tickets for that June 3rd series opener, anticipating your return. Have you thought about what that will be like? You've seen a lot of former guys come through and get pretty strong reactions.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Especially in a city like Philly, right? I'm sure it will be emotional. I'm sure it will be weird. But I think at the end of the day, and I think Philly will be able to appreciate this, is that I think at the end of the day, I hope the Brewers win.
And also joining us from Philadelphia is Matt Gelb. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Rhys, mine's pretty simple. I'm just wondering, like, what do you think you're going to miss the most about your time here in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think, you know, people say this a lot about just big change in their life, but it's just the people, you guys included, right? Everybody with that kind of makes this machine of Major League Baseball go. You know, being involved and seeing familiar faces like I have for the last 6-7 years, you know, you just create relationships with people, and all of a sudden those will be different. I'm sure it won't be the last time I see a lot of those same people. I hope not, just because I feel like I always will be able to call Philly home. But I'm excited for a new chapter and to revisit those memories when the time is right.
And we'll go back to Adam McCalvy.
Rhys, speaking about the ties between these teams, I'm wondering if you saw that Brewers social media post with the bat slam, and what your reaction was to that.
I did. There's some pretty talented people with a lot, you know, just with social media and media nowadays. So that was pretty cool to see. But I can imagine that there's a newfound competitive, you know, reason to be mad at each other or get after each other between Brewers and Phillies fans. So, hey, I'm all for the competitiveness. You know, a little fun goes a long way with those things. So.